And at 5 minutes after 7 o'clock, it's now time for the big story. And the upcoming Jamaican general elections is expected to be a close contest between the Jamaica Labour Party, the JLP, seeking a third term under Andrew Holness, and the revitalized People's National Party, PNP, led by Mark Golding. Recent polls by Don Anderson indicate a shift in favorability ratings, with Golding at 25.8% and Holness at 39.9% on favorable rating. The JLP's economic achievements, including macroeconomic stability and reduced unemployment, are countered by corruption concerns and perceived stagnation for young people, while the PNP aims to capitalize on these weaknesses. My very regular and cooperative guests are back with me, and this morning we welcome political analyst Kevin Obrien Chang and a member of the People's National Party and former caretaker for Portland Eastern, Collon Bell. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the Richie B Morning Show. How are you doing today?
Morning, everybody. Morning, Richie. Morning, Collon.
Kevin, morning to all your listeners. Richard, morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, to both of you. Collon, it is seemingly a surge taking place based on what the polls are suggesting. Are you finding these results surprising?
No, Richie, if you remember the last time we spoke, I told you that I expected something like this. And as a man in the street, when you move around, you find that a lot of people are now openly associating themselves with the People's National Party. When you go to the bars and the clubs, I can remember maybe 3-4 years ago, you wouldn't hear people coming out and say, yo, me a comrade, or yo, me a support the PNP. So when we spoke the last time, and I said to you that the only thing that I took from the first poll was that 48% of Jamaicans said we were going in the wrong direction. And therefore, if that massive amount of people, and I think it was 27%, said that we were going in the right direction, and I said to you that if a lot of people are saying we are going in the wrong direction, why would they want to go with the party that is taking them in that wrong direction? So hence this poll. But Richie, as we all know, a poll is just a snapshot of time. That don't mean that those are votes, because to win an election, you have to turn those numbers into votes. And election day is really the poll that really matters.
And thank you, Collon. Kevin, if these polls are to be believed, then what strategies might the JLP be employing going forward, and what might be of concern while we're seeing this shift?
The JLP has two problems. One of them is they can't control. It's inflation worldwide. There's a trend worldwide, Richie, for incumbent governments to be booted. Like the vast majority of incumbents the last 2 years, and including this year so far, have been booted. And mainly it's down to inflation, high cost of living. I get to COVID, they pumped money into the economy to stop a collapse, and it caused inflation afterwards. And all incumbents all over the world are struggling, even though the numbers look good. Look at the U.S. election. Inflation is down now, unemployment is down. Numbers should be good for the incumbent Democrats, but it's a 50-50 race. So that's something the JLP can't do much about. But the one they can do about is their terrible communication. If you look at the Don Anderson poll, the number one issue is crime by far, 48%. Second is unemployment, and third, if you youth and unemployment together, is about 14%. Corruption is 6%, way down the line. It's far more talked about than the reality of the people. But the crime is a problem, and that's still the JLP has terrible communication. Murders are down 19% for the year. If we have the same rate continue and 10 months gone, it's hardly likely to change. It could be the lowest murder count since 2014, lower than when the JLP came to power. And major crimes are down 39%. So actually the JLP is doing a pretty good job on crime, but the people don't know it because of their terrible communication. They're not talking to the people about what they want to talk about. As I said, when last have you heard the JLP talk about we are winning the war on crime? They're not, but actually they are. And the people are saying crime is a big issue, the JLP is failing on crime. But they're not actually failing. but they're not getting their message out to the people. So they're not communicating well. People have been telling them, and they're not listening. So who can't hear must feel.
All right. Before we continue, I just wanted to point out, Collon, that Kevin has to leave a little early, and then we'll continue our conversation. So allow me to ask Kevin one or two more questions before I bring you back in.
Not a problem, Richie. Just one thing I'd like to say it.
Yes.
And assist Kevin with this crime thing, because I hear him talking about it. For that to be effective, it has to be sustainable. So yeah, crime is down, and I'm very happy about that. But for people to start accepting it, they have to see it for a longer period of time. So even if you're communicating, because people are hearing the gruesome murders every day on radio, 8, 5, 3, 1 time. So this has to be something that is sustainable. And you have to carry it maybe, if we have the same period next year this time, then people will start looking at it. Because you go to 2014, we have had lower crime rates in the last 15 years than what we're having now.
All right. Thank you for that. Now,
murders are down 8% last year. They're down 90% this year. It's been sustained for 2 years now. A 10-year low. And if you look at the major crimes, they're down 39%. So the numbers are there. Collon, you can't argue the numbers. But the JLP does not get any numbers out. And that's their problem. As I said, they're not communicating it properly.
The poll also shows that Andrew Holness's popularity among older voters is seemingly acceptable by JLP standards. Is that something that will be maintained? And can Kevin, Mark Golding, do you believe he can maintain his favorability rating throughout the campaign period?
Well, listen, Mark has learned something. Mark has learned to shut his mouth. The less Mark talks, the more popular he gets. And he stopped with the fake patois. So he's learning. You can say Mr. Golding is not a foolish man. He's clearly been taking his soundings and not doing the things that people don't like and doing what they like, which is not saying too much. But for the jail and older people, yeah, they have done a lot of things for the older folks with pension and tax rebate and all that. And let me say this. I came back from school in Jamaica in 1989. 35 years ago, feeling old now. But I can say I've never lived under a better government for delivering the realities. They've cut unemployment from 14% they came to power to now 4%. The debt to GDP ratio was 120%. It's now 70%, going to 60%. The murders are down, like I said. The police relationship with the people are very good. So the big issues, they have performed. There's no question if you look at the numbers. The inflation has hurt them badly, but it's a worldwide thing. They're doing their best. Inflation is 5% now. That's their goal, 4 to 6%. So as a government, they have performed well. And as I said, but their terrible communication is killing them, and facts don't sell themselves. That's the reality. But as I said, I've been telling the JLP this for a long time. Who can't hear must feel. If you are cutting crime, you have murders are down 2 years in a row, 10-year low, 39% major crimes are down. Rape is down 47% last 10 years, right? That's sustainable if Collon wants sustainable. But the people aren't hearing that. And the JLP is not pushing it. What do you expect to happen?
Do you think they have enough time to correct that anomaly?
They say a week is a long time in politics, and they have a year. So they listen and do things. As I said, the PNP can only react. They are in opposition. The JLP is the one who has the facts and they can communicate. And if the JLP doesn't communicate and look bad, their PNP benefits. That's just the reality of how politics works.
All right, Kevin, I know you have to leave. I want to thank you for your thoughts this morning. Have a good day.
Thanks much, Richard. No problem. Take care.
All the best. Collon, we will continue our conversation.
Yeah,
and maybe you want to react to what Kevin just said, and also to factor in your response the impact of things like the Integrity Commission's report and so on that might be having on the poll results.
Richie, let me tell you something. If you are hungry, and you come to me and I said, Richie, you're not hungry, man. Your belly full. And you're feeling the hunger. You're going to look at me like me, I take you for fool. And that is what a lot of Jamaicans are saying to this JLP administration. You're taking us for fool. The Prime Minister was down in Draxall telling the people that good economic policy can yam and the dollar is stable. When that very same week, the Bank of Jamaica spent $90 million trying to save the Jamaican dollar. And when the week was ended, the starting of the week, the Jamaican dollar was trading at 159.40. And at the end of the week, the dollar was trading at $158.87. So that $90 million that the government pumped into the economy to save the dollar only save about 60 odd cents. So people are now seeing this with the advent of social media, where a lot more information is available to people. People are realizing, because Kevin talk about marketing, this government is the best at marketing, but people are now seeing the truth. So pulling the wool over people's face is no longer working. Because, I mean, when we look at what is happening in transportation, and the government is saying that they bought 100 buses, Richie, people are now understanding that this government destroyed the transportation system. People can't get to work on time. I remember back in the early 2000s, maybe even in the 90s, Richie, you travel from Portland to Kingston sometime, and when you reach places like Temple or Golden Spring, the amount of people used to stand up and wait for a bus. That became a thing of the past when the PNP brought in JUTC. And you don't see that no more. We are now seeing that again. You travel from Portland to Kingston morning time now, you see the bus stops full, no buses. So people are suffering. Unemployment is at 5.7%. But people are not working a little wage. People are working less than hand to mouth. You go to the supermarket, what $15,000 could buy in 2016, $30,000 can't buy it now. So this government is not looking at production. We are not producing. The World Bank is telling you that our economy will grow by 0.8%. That's actually no growth. So I don't know where Kevin is talking about is living under the best government. Yeah, maybe he's rich because the rich are benefiting, but the poor are getting poorer. In fact, our poverty rate has increased under this administration.
Outside of issues that Shaka, outside of issues that might have been created by for the government by their own actions, do you believe that things like economic growth and job creation are sufficiently ventilated and are also impacting the poll results?
It is, Richie, and that's why I'm saying to you that people are having access to a lot more information. With the advent of social media, a lot more shows are out there that people are getting the figures and are understanding. And then when you get the figures and you're feeling it yourself, people are saying, no, we can't continue. And then you have these corruption that is happening where people are now realizing that corruption is costing us over $100 billion annually. And these money could have done a whole heap more to make people's lives easier. Kevin talk about the tax give back. The tax give back is really squandering money that you don't even have. Because when you look at the hurricane that just passed and the destruction that happened to our agriculture sector, they said it was about $10 billion in value. But how much has the government pumped back in agriculture so far? Less than $2 billion, yet you're giving away $11 billion.
Shaka, so, it is said that a day in politics is a long time. But
yes.
do you think that Mark Golding, your leader, can maintain this favorability rating going forward into the elections?
Mark Golding will maintain, not maintain, but he will get even better. Because the more things come out, you will see Mark Golding approval rating rise. But not just look at the approval rating, because there's also the rating of people who disapprove. And you see the Prime Minister is at a minus 10, I think. More people disapprove of the Prime Minister than who approve of him. So with Mark Golding, people now getting to know who Mark Golding is, articulating the vision that the PNP is putting forward for the country, Mark Golding points will increase, not just maintain.
So
because the truth has to be revealed, you know, Richie.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of things out there. We see the government release the FinSac archive, but in those archives they did not release the forensic audit, and people are now saying why the forensic audit has not been released. So more things are coming to play. The Integrity Commission report, you ask about that is also damning against the Prime Minister, because if you realize, Richie, we have not yet named a finance minister, you know.
I noticed.
And we are saying to the Prime Minister, don't touch it. Do not take it. Because with all the issues coming out of the Integrity Commission over your head, you cannot be the finance minister at this time. So the GLP having real problems, and they are going to increase as the days go by. It's not going to get no better, Richie, because a lot of things will come to the fore that will say to the Jamaican people, this cannot continue. This is the most corrupt government we have ever had, you know. We have never had any one administration, either PNP or GLP. There has been no other GLP administration with more scandal and corruption as this one. No other PNP administration. So we have real problems.
Collon.
The economy is not as good as people are pointing out to be.
All right, Collon.
Because if we don't start produce, Richie, we're not going to go anywhere. We can't borrow from Peter to pay Paul and grow our economy that way. Kevin talks about the debt to GDP. Our debt to GDP is low, yes, but look at the countries that have low debt to GDP. You talk about Haiti, which is not producing, and Haiti is really crashing. But the other countries that have low debt to GDP are places like Trinidad, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. These places have oil, they are producing. So if you look at the countries with high GDP, America have very high debt to gross domestic product, and they are living a better life than us. China, their GDP is over 200%. So talking about this low debt to GDP is not benefiting the average man on the ground in Jamaica. People are suffering.
Collon, we're out of time. I want to thank you, as usual, for your thoughts this morning, and we look forward to having another conversation with you in the near future. Thank you so